Imagine carrying a phone that weighs 200 grams instead of 215 grams. That might not sound like much, but when you're using a foldable phone all day, every gram counts. The Samsung Z Fold 8 is making some serious changes that could finally solve the biggest problems we've had with foldable phones. We're talking about a lighter device, a screen with almost no visible crease, better cameras, and a battery that actually lasts. But here's the thing. Samsung isn't the only company pushing boundaries in the foldable space anymore. OPPO is getting ready to launch the Find N6 with a massive 6000 mAh battery, and Apple might finally join the foldable game. Today we're diving deep into everything we know about the Z Fold 8, how it compares to the competition, and whether these improvements are enough to make foldables go mainstream. If you have been waiting for the right time to jump into foldable phones, this video might help you decide. Let's start with the most noticeable change. Samsung managed to cut 15 grams from the Z Fold 8. The new phone weighs around 200 grams compared to the Z Fold 7's 215 grams. This weight reduction comes from using more aluminum in the frame and improving the overall structure. Now, 15 grams might not seem like a lot, but think about it this way. When you're holding a phone for hours, scrolling through social media, or reading emails, that difference becomes really noticeable. The Z Fold 7 already felt heavy for many users, especially when using it one-handed. Samsung achieved this weight reduction without making the phone weaker. In fact, they made it stronger. The hinge mechanism, which is probably the most important part of any foldable phone, has been reinforced. This means the phone should last longer and feel more solid when you open and close it thousands of times. But weight is just one part of the story. The real game changer is what Samsung did with the screen. Anyone who's used a foldable phone knows about the crease, that visible line right down the middle where the screen bends. It's been the biggest complaint about foldable phones since they first came out. The Z Fold 8 uses something called dual-layer ultra-thin glass to reduce this crease significantly. This isn't just about looks. A smoother screen means better touch response and less distraction when you are watching videos or playing games. The new screen design also makes colors more accurate and images brighter. Think about watching Netflix on a screen that doesn't have that annoying line running through the middle. It's a completely different experience. Samsung also improved the screen's durability, which has always been a concern with foldable phones. These phones need to survive daily use, and the screen is the most vulnerable part. Let's talk about battery life, something that can make or break any smartphone experience. The Z Fold 8 comes with a 5000 mAh battery, which is a significant jump from the Z Fold 7's 4400 mAh battery. That's 600 mAh more capacity, which should translate to several more hours of use. Foldable phones typically use more battery because they are powering larger screens and more complex hardware. The bigger battery should help the Z Fold 8 last a full day of heavy use without needing to hunt for a charger. Samsung is also including both fast charging and wireless charging, so you have options for how you want to charge your phone. Fast charging means you can get hours of use from just a few minutes of charging, which is perfect for those busy days. Now let's dive into the camera system. This is where things get really interesting. The main camera is getting a massive upgrade to 200 megapixels. That's the same sensor Samsung uses in their Galaxy S series flagship phones. The ultra-wide camera jumps from 12 megapixels to 50 megapixels. That's more than 4 times the resolution. This means your landscape photos and group shots will have much more detail. The telephoto camera goes from 10 megapixels to 12 megapixels while keeping the same 3x optical zoom. More megapixels usually mean better image quality, especially when you crop or zoom into your photos. But here's what makes these camera upgrades even better. Samsung is adding AI-based image processing. This technology analyzes each photo as you take it and automatically adjusts settings like brightness, contrast, and color balance. The AI processing is especially helpful in low-light situations where phone cameras usually struggle. You know those photos you take at restaurants or parties that come out dark and blurry. The Z Fold 8 should handle those situations much better. Samsung is planning to make about 3.5 million Z Fold 8 units, compared to 2.5 million Z Flip 8 units. This tells us Samsung expects more demand for the larger foldable format. But Samsung isn't operating in a vacuum. They are facing serious competition. OPPO is launching the Find N6 globally, and it's bringing some impressive features. The Find N6 has a 6000 mAh battery, that's 1000 mAh more than the Z Fold 8. In real-world terms, that could mean an extra day of battery life. OPPO is also claiming their foldable screen has almost no visible crease and stays smooth even after long-term use. The Find N6 supports a stylus that works on both the cover screen and the main foldable display. This is something Samsung has been considering for their foldable phones but hasn't implemented yet. OPPO camera setup is also competitive. They are using a 200 megapixels main camera, a 50 megapixels ultra-wide, and a 50 megapixels telephoto with a periscope zoom lens. They even have two 20 megapixels front-facing cameras, one for each screen. The Find N6 runs on the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 processor and supports 80-watt fast charging. That charging speed is significantly faster than what Samsung typically offers. Here's something interesting. OPPO is expanding globally this year, unlike previous years when their foldable phones stayed mostly in China. This means Samsung will face direct competition in markets where they have had things mostly to themselves. Apple is also rumored to be working on their first foldable iPhone, which could launch around the same time as the Z Fold 8. If Apple enters the foldable market, it could change everything. Apple has a way of making new technology feel mainstream and user-friendly. Samsung seems to be preparing for this competition by offering two versions of the Z Fold 8, a regular model and a widescreen variant. Both versions are expected to have similar specs, Snapdragon processors, 12 gigs or 16 gigs of RAM, and at least 256 gigs of storage. The widescreen version might be Samsung's answer to Apple's foldable iPhone. All these phones are expected to launch around July 2026, which means we are still more than a year away. That's a long time in the smartphone world, and a lot could change before then. But based on what we know now, the foldable phone market is about to get much more competitive. The improvements Samsung is making with the Z Fold 8 address the main complaints people have had about foldable phones. The reduced weight makes it more practical for daily use. The improved screen with less visible crease makes it more enjoyable to use. The bigger battery addresses one of the biggest concerns about foldable phones. And the camera upgrades bring it closer to what people expect from flagship smartphones. The Z Fold 8 represents Samsung's most refined approach to foldable phones yet. With a lighter design, better screen, improved cameras, and longer battery life, it addresses most of the issues that have kept people away from foldable phones. But the competition is heating up, with OPPO bringing impressive specs and Apple potentially entering the market. This competition is great news for consumers because it means better phones and potentially lower prices. The question isn't whether foldable phones will become mainstream, it's which company will lead that transition. What do you think about these Z Fold 8 improvements? Are you ready to make the switch to a foldable phone, or are you waiting for the technology to mature even more? Let me know in the comments below what features matter most to you in a foldable phone. If this video helped you understand the foldable phone landscape better, hit the like button and subscribe for more tech updates. I'll keep you updated as we learn more about these upcoming foldable phones and how they stack up against each other. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.